Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about bottled cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Tonight on FBC News, picking up the pieces. Tropical depression finally moving away from the group. And Prime Minister gets first-hand account of flood damage. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. The villagers of Sawani and Naitasiri are still trying to get over yesterday's flash floods which ravaged through homes, destroying household items. Some have admitted they did not take the flood warning seriously.
The villagers of Sawani are still feeling terrified over yesterday's flash floods which swept across the village, the worst they've seen since Cyclone Kina 14 years ago.
I'm counting myself lucky since none of my children got carried away by the river, because at the time the boys were coming out from using styrofoam to get out of their house.
All 80 homes in this village were not spared in the flash flood yesterday, and all 500 or so villagers evacuated their homes last night and fled to the evacuation centers here in the village. One at the church there, just at the back there, and some fled to the village hall and some fled to the Andi Dakumba school. And just behind me you see the bus there. That's to show that the bus service here in the village have normalized. All of the crops planted by villagers on the Sawani flat were destroyed by the flood waters. Andi Dakumba school also had a farm here. With the loss of crops, the school's principal will ask for funding from the Education Ministry for additional food supply as the school is in an extreme situation.
The root crops and the vegetables on by the river, this is completely damaged.
We don't know exactly what was there, so until we get a report on what was there.
This approach to the Sawani bridge was badly damaged by strong currents and debris. When I passed through here, Water Authority workers were repairing this supply pipe, which feeds ACS, Sawani village and nearby settlements. As you can see along the Sawani back road, homeowners are sunning out their furniture and belongings that were soaked wet by the flood waters yesterday. And here you can see farmland that were recently plowed have also been destroyed. And as we drive ahead on the road, we come to this place, the Green Gold sawmill, just up ahead there. And as you can see where I stand now, that's the inside of the sawmill where things have been destroyed, timbers have been washed away and pine posts have been washed away. According to the owners, they've lost about more than $150,000.
25 minutes the water just rise up here. And the water starts shooting straight away this way. Instead of going to the river, I was going up on the road like this.
Water levels in the Rewa River remain high, but there are no strong currents. At Kasavu village, this breadfruit tree was victim to a landslide. Up ahead on the Kings Road near Longani village, this power pole went down in another landslide, and FEA technicians were working to restore power in the vicinity. This is the Kuro from Nemborambori village along the Kings Road. As you can see up ahead is the road collapse, which started with a crack during heavy rain yesterday, and by this morning, according to the road officials, it has sunk by a meter, and they expect the road to sink further during the day. This has basically stopped travelers from both sides, from Korovo and Nosori, to travel along this road. But we have vehicles on either side of the road that are helping commuters to Korovo and to Nosori, and officials have restricted movement to the site just there. The floods have served as a reminder to people to be aware and take precautions to avoid such disasters in the future. Mikalonga, FBC News.
In Sawani last night, some people were stranded while others had to evacuate their homes as heavy flooding followed yesterday's rain. Making the situation worse, most were out of touch with their families as the rain continued. Some families in Suva were not spared from the rising waters and sought shelter in evacuation centers. Chalendau Dakadaka reports.
Because the Sawani Bridge was underwater as the Waimanu River burst its banks, these commuters could not reach their homes in the Naitasiri highlands. For some, the flood reminded them of Cyclone Kina in 1993.
A lot of villages and settlements near the Waindina River were flooded. These included the villages of Ndelela Sakau, Nandakuni, Wainawanga, Nauluvatu that were really affected by this flood.
Passengers had to seek shelter at the nearby service station, and with some resorting to sleeping in the buses. This man had been stranded since 2 in the afternoon and voiced his desire to get home to his family.
We've been waiting for almost 10 hours now because of the flood. We have people here from Naiwudini and Ndelela Sekau villages. We are waiting for the water to go down so we can reach our homes.
Meanwhile, aside from the problems in Sawani, FBC News also visited this evacuation center at Vishnu Deo Memorial School in Rewanga, where 7 families from wildlife settlement were sheltering. 70-year-old Avarusi Watanoa says this was the first time in 20 years that his home was flooded.
My house never gets flooded because it's got 2 stories. That's why we were caught by surprise when the water started to enter our home. My family started to worry about our well-being, so we made our way here.
It was a long and tiresome night for those chased out of their homes by the rising waters. With the rain over at present, the task now is to pick up on what was left behind by Mother Nature's wrath. Chalendo Takatak, FBC News.
Minister for National Disaster Management Inia Ratu is working with his team to restore essential services to the greater Navua area. Chanel Sivan today visited Namboro, Wainandoi and Navua, where people are still reeling from the effects of flash flooding.
The water level at the Navua River was still very high when we arrived in the township this morning. Last night the river broke its bank after hours of heavy rain. Floodwaters didn't spare homes, roads and the Navua Hospital, which is located right next to the river. As floodwaters rose, police helped transfer patients from the hospital to the Romatanitambua house. 3 bodies from the morgue had to be transferred to the Suva Hospital. Today, medical staff, the Navy and the National Fire Authority were busy cleaning up. Minister for National Disaster Management Inia Ratu also visited the area and says normalizing essential services is a priority.
We need to return to normalcy immediately, and for that to happen we need the essential services, the lifeline, electricity particularly, because that will mean restoration of water as well. I know that Navua is currently affected due to power, but that hopefully will be restored soon so that we can have normal water services, and most importantly the safety of the people and their needs.
Sanjay Pal and his family in Dalia have nothing to eat tonight. All their food was washed away.
We lost like our groceries that were under the tables and things like that, and there was no damage to the property or anything inside or the clothes or anything because we put everything on top. Mostly was groceries like flour and things like that, sugar that was on the floor, things like that.
In Wainandui, 70 families evacuated to higher ground in the middle of the night. Fayaz Ali has lost over 800 ducks and with it close to $4,000 in income.
This is the first time we're having this much of flood here since I was born here in 1980, and then I could not see this much of flood before. You know, people of Wainandui they're saying the water level was really high. Eh? Some of the houses there was underwater about 4 feet, 5 feet in their house. Eh?
Others in Wainandui are still trying to come to terms with what happened last night. This being a farming community, many are left counting their losses. Ajay Prasad is a dairy farmer in Namboro. 18 of his cattle and 8 sheep drowned in the flood.
गाय मरा है, बच्चा मरा, एक बच्चा, भेड़ा, मुर्गी सब मरा। इस बाढ़ में सब बह गए। बाढ़ चढ़ा था, बहुत जल्दी चढ़ा था, काफी डैमेज हो गया है।
The worst may be over for the Central Division, but the hard work of picking their lives back up has only begun. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
We're not out of the woods yet. That was the message to Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama during a briefing on the situation in the Central Eastern Division after heavy downpour and flooding. Ritika Pratap has more details from the National Disaster Management Office.
With more rain expected, the authorities say Fijians should use the dry spell to assess damage and take necessary steps.
FRA, if that can be a quick fix so that essential services can still pass through the worst affected areas, let's do that. And of course electricity, because that will lead to the restoration of water as well.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has directed relevant ministries and departments to send help where it's needed most.
I would like all manpower to concentrate on clearing the debris from villages and settlements.
Torrential rain has also damaged infrastructure, and the Fiji Roads Authority has prioritized repairs at Bambavode Hill along the King's Road to ease traffic at Namborebore and Sawani Serwa Road. Damage in rural areas will be assessed once floodwater recedes.
Low-lying roads closed, particularly where crossings are underwater. As soon as the water recedes, we'll be able to assess the damage. We have known sites where we know the access will be critical, so we've already got plant and equipment pre-positioned, ready to reinstate those as soon as possible. The other thing that people will notice, obviously, is there'll be a lot of potholes developed in these sealed urban areas. We have all of our pothole crews currently out and about, dealing with the worst ones on the critical routes.
Water supply has also been affected in Greater Suva area, but the Water Authority of Fiji is positive it won't last long since electricity supply is being restored.
We are stretched with that as well because of the weather and also some road closures in taking water to affected areas.
Meanwhile, at the briefing this morning, the Prime Minister has also warned the Education Ministry to make quick decisions regarding school closures during times of emergency. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Coming up, Fiji Pine pays landowner security bonuses.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा साथी.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot.
देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tauwa में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम इंग्लिश लंबासा में रहता है. तो क्या बताइए मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama kicked off his assessment of flood-affected areas this afternoon. Bainimarama first visited Narere settlement, one of the many areas in the Greater Suva area that was flooded yesterday.
For these people, experiencing their first flood in 20 years means getting an opportunity to raise some long-awaited concerns with the Prime Minister for the first time.
Bainimarama is the first Prime Minister to visit us since we were moved here in 1986. We lived here at the tax-free zone site at Valley Level and was moved here by the then local government. To date, we have not been visited. We have asked the Prime Minister to assist us, as we have requested him to give us titles for the piece of land that we are occupying.
Bainimarama also visited Waindamundamu settlement at Cornivia before making his way to Namborembore to see the damaged highway at Namborembore, which has cut off the King's Road.
The whole thing depends on the weather. Hopefully this weather keeps up to our terms. It rains very heavily up here, but as planned, we are going as planned now.
Permanent Secretary to the Prime Minister's office, Pio Tigonduandua, says the target is to open the road for single access by both heavy and light goods vehicles by 7 a.m. tomorrow. The Prime Minister is expected to visit Navua and the Naitasiri province tomorrow. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
Tropical Depression 15F caused havoc in the Central Division yesterday and is now about 150 kilometers northwest of Lambasa. It is expected to affect the weather over Taveuni, Vanua Levu, Northern Lao and Lomaiviti for the next 12 to 24 hours. The Fiji Meteorology Office says the depression is currently located off the tip of Vanua Levu. Akusita Tale reports.
Alipate Wangai Delua and his team have been closely monitoring the weather situation.
The depression has moved from the central division, heading northeast, and is now to the north of Fiji.
It's likely that it's going to move further towards, or turn towards the southeast, and move just to the east of the Lau group. And that's where it's going to take its path in between Tonga and Fiji as it moves away from us.
Wangai Delua says as the depression moves away, the north and east will still receive some wet weather as an after effect.
The depression is going to move towards the south. That's going to bring down with it the heavy clouds and the rain clouds that are now sitting to the north. They're going to come over Honolulu, Taveuni, and Northern Lau and Lomaiviti in the next 12 to 24 hours.
There's a low probability of a cyclone forming in the next 12 hours, but we can still expect rain over parts of Fiji.
The rains that we're getting, they are kind of periodic or occasional. Those are bands. Just put your hands over the table and your hands will represent the bands of rain and cloud all over Fiji. So that's exactly what's happening. We anticipated to form to a cyclone in the waters between Fiji and Tonga, so no land areas will be affected.
The Fiji Met Office is advising residents in the north, Taveuni, Lomaiviti and neighboring islands to take necessary precautions and have warned mariners to refrain from sailing out into open waters. Akosita Talei, FBC News.
40 landowners who leased their land to Fiji Pine Limited have received their first lease security bonus payments. The idea came about after Fiji Pine struggled to renew the leases. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says this is a reform to bring landowners back into the fold. Akosita Tale again with more on the story.
A total of $300,000 was paid out in Lautoka yesterday. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says Fiji Pine has suffered from a culture of short-term benefits at the expense of the industry and landowners.
Under this system, bonuses will be paid to landowners with land currently leased to Fiji Pine that has at least 15 years of the lease term left, or land that already has pine plantations on it. This will allow Fiji Pine to replant land that is currently not being used.
Fiji Pine has 60,000 hectares of leased land in Vitilevu, but only 20,000 hectares has been planted, 5,000 of it in the last 2 years.
We can't change the past, as I have said, but we need to continue our efforts so that we can maintain and build our future. When our companies are stronger and functioning efficiently, we can give more returns to our landowners on a sustainable basis.
The 40 landowners are pleased with the payout, saying they'd lost hope after seeing no progress and very little benefit.
We gave our land to the industry 50 years ago, believing we will reap the benefits, but nothing happened. 50 years has finished and we still continue to give land leases to Fiji Pine Limited. And today we are seeing the benefits of the government changing the management, the right people to lead the industry, which has brought many positive changes.
Fiji Pine is likely to pay out $1 million in lease security bonuses next year. The company also paid back $6.7 million to Fijian Holdings Limited. Akosita Talei, FBC News.
Friday Night Sports now. What do you have for us, Jamie?
Well, coming up, Fiji International Golf Tournament is expected to boost the economy. Details after the break.
Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We like Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Sabah.
Loto kasi di love Today's Kid Music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back to FBC Sports. The Fiji International in August will not only boost the growth of golf in the country, it will produce a multi-million-dollar boost for the Fijian economy. Organizers are currently in Australia to negotiate with top golfers, and with former world #1 Vijay Singh already signed up, expectations are the best is yet to come.
Our event, we need marquees, we need about 30 marquees, we need 50 public toilets, we need an OB, an outside broadcast van, kilometres of roping, cabling right across the course. So there's a lot of logistics which we've been spending a lot of time on, and that infrastructure isn't necessarily readily available.
The host venue of the Natandolo Bay Championship Golf Course may provide one of the most scenic sites on the Australia PGA Tour, but the logistics of preparing for a major tournament are challenging organisers.
This is a tournament where there's $1 million on the line for the participants. So, and I know that he prides himself on his prowess, and he's going to want to be playing very, very well, and he'll have a really red-hot crack at winning this thing, I believe.
And you can expect hype for the event to build in 2 weeks' time in the form of billboards around the country and confirmation of the world's best golfers' participation in the event. And that was your sports for tonight. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Atlantic Packaging Limited has recorded a drop in half-year profits ending December 2013. The company has made a release to the South Pacific Stock Exchange showing a decreased sales revenue of $3.9 million. It made $4.2 million for the same period in 2012. Earnings per share at the end of December 2013 came to $1.45. So Jen, has TD15F left the building?
Well, Jackie, the center of Tropical Depression 15F was located about 125 kilometers northeast of Lambasa at 3 p.m. today. You can see the resulting rain and thunderstorms on the map here, and it's moving east to southeast at about 10 kilometers per hour. So yes, it does look like it's leaving us. However, we still had quite a bit of rain in the west as well, and this is because the fringes of it are passing over us as it heads east. Suva's on 33 degrees today, and you could feel the change with the increase from yesterday's 28. Lautoka and Savu-Savu are a little cooler than the other centers on 31. More showers tomorrow for the Central and Western Division, but sunshine is expected in the morning for the West. It's highly likely that the Northern Division will continue to experience heavy rainfall. It's also worth noting that a flood alert remains in force for all low-lying areas adjacent to and downstream of Navalau Station. Flood warnings may be reinstated should rain intensify and river levels rise to critical heights. Leaving you now with a shot of hospital equipment, like beds, being dried out in the sun today at Navua Hospital. Just one of the many scenes of people trying to recover after these floods.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. Recapping the headlines again, hundreds of Fijians begin cleanup after yesterday's flash floods. Prime Minister orders quick restoration of essential services, and bad weather finally leaves Fiji. This week's poll question, we're asking, are Fijians taking the dengue outbreak seriously? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. Be sure to join Amrita Priyadashini from tomorrow with the weekend news. I'll be back again on Monday. Until then, you have yourselves a safe and enjoyable weekend.
Ito singata kondo talita na barong na radio Fijuan na station galmotua.
Ako na koro ko na talita. Mandaw talita kini na barong radio Fijuan.
Kitongo isu kondo talita na barong na radio Fijuan na station galmotua.
Kito talita na radio Fijuan. Na radio Fijuan ento talita kitalanga Sikoka.
Station ni Machino Pinatia na radio Fijuan. Koka Keyanyan.
Na Radio Fijuan nandu mo ibiti na bonga ni BNN.